Abroad, her unpopularity had been building for some time. In Australia, there were plans to remove her as Queen. Critics speculated that if it could happen down under, then one day it could happen in the UK. In the 1990s, Australian Prime Minister Paul Keating had proposed a republic.
It would be the intention that as a result of this committee's deliberations and the public discussion that would follow, the Australian people would be in a position to decide by referendum later in the decade whether Australia should become a republic by the year 2001.
Though there's a lot of affection for the Queen in this country still, the country's outlook and aspirations can never be represented by a non-Australian. When I met the Queen in Balmoral, she said, "Of course, I will always take the advice of Australian ministers and the Australian people." And I said, "Ma'am, we'd expect no less and ask for no more."
As well as Australia, the Queen was the head of 16 different nations across the globe, from Canada to Jamaica, New Zealand to Papua New Guinea. If Australia became a republic, more countries could follow suit. But despite the high stakes, she was careful not to get involved in the public debate.
There was an affection there. After all, Prince Charles had been to Geelong Grammar School for a term or so. I think it would be disappointing to the Queen. But on the other hand, she had really accepted that it was the decision for the Australian people to make.
In 1996, Keating was replaced as Prime Minister by John Howard, a politician with monarchist sympathies. But the referendum would still go ahead as planned.
I honestly do not believe Australia would be a better country if we abandoned the present constitutional system. It's part of our history, and unless there's a good reason, you don't break links with your history, but even more important than that, it works.
On the 6th of November 1999, Australia went to the polls. As the Queen nervously waited for the result, it looked like her 48-year rule of Australia was about to end.
Well, the Queen was intensely interested in the outcome. I knew that whatever the outcome would be, she would wish Australia well and retain an interest and affection in it.
When the ballots were counted, the results were a surprise to many. All 6 states had voted to keep the Queen.
The country had an appointment with history, and it failed the appointment.
Coincidentally, the Australian rugby team were in the UK, competing in the World Rugby Cup final in Cardiff. The Queen was there to present the trophy to the winner.
I'm told she was very pleased, but by the person who officially conveyed the result.
What we didn't know is that the Australians would come to the UK and win the Rugby World Cup, which added a certain piquancy to it, including the Queen presenting the trophy to John Eales, the Australian captain, just after the result of the referendum. As they say in Fleet Street, you couldn't have made that up.
The Queen's presence at the Rugby World Cup final was a symbolic moment. For many Australians, it was cause for a double celebration. The Queen had held her own in the country she regarded with fondness.